Today I want to show you something that's super cool, super powerful, that has been out there for a while, but now with a small modification, they just made it 10 times more powerful and impactful. And here I'm talking about Claude integrations. Now, Claude integrations has been there for a while for certain apps like GitHub, like Gmail, like Google Calendar, and a little bit more. But now they have opened it up to connect to much more services as a start, things like PayPal, Asana. But what I'm interested in is the ability to connect directly the web view of Claude to MCP servers. Now we all know that Claude are the ones that pushed the concept of MCPs. They were at the forefront of that. And now that they brought it to their chat interface online, something that shouldn't surprise anyone when it comes to MCPs and Claude, but this brings a whole new meaning and capabilities and an idea of what does it mean really to interact with a chat model like Claude online through the web. And with this upgrade, I honestly would argue that now when you are interacting with Claude AI, you're not chatting with a typical AI model, you're actually chatting with an agent based off the Claude AI models. If you don't know me, my name is Samer. I'm a Fortune 500 executive on a mission to get everyone to join the top 1% when it comes to AI, so you can use it in work, business, and life. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you see value in the video, and with this, let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. The mic.
So luckily, when I logged into Claude today to record this video, I got again the reminder of the integrations. So this is what I got. So they're telling us now we have deeper answers and more sources. Try integrations and research today. Now this is a topic for a different episode to look at the research that Claude just added. What we're interested in is the integration. So here is what they're telling us. Connect your everyday tools, add pre-built integrations, or create your own remote MCP. Actually, you can add an MCP server that you created, or you can actually use something which is very easy, accessible to everyone, non-technical at all, like Zapier over here. And then they have something around research. Now, if you see here the integrations, they're adding more and more applications. Some of them I know, like Asana here, and Zapier, and PayPal. The others I'm not so familiar with, but it's already powerful. Imagine you connect your PayPal, Asana, and Zapier to Claude. So while you're working something out, you can actually push actions or pull information from these sources. And today I will focus on MCP servers. I will create 2 MCP servers, connect them to Claude chat interface, and then I will show you with such connections how you can do much more than anything you can imagine today with the typical usage of these chat interfaces, especially with Claude. And what I will do, so everyone can benefit from this, we're gonna do a Zapier MCP, something that anyone can build today just by watching this video, and you don't need to be technical at all. And the other one is building a server on n8n, which is a little bit more technical. I think something everyone can do watching this video. Maybe you need to do more research and work to get it done yourself, but it is doable for the vast majority of people. And once we build both of them, we're going to actually test them with the chat interface so you can see how it all works. This is an interesting blog by Claude that I will not go through, but I will link in the description. I think everyone can read. It was put out there on May 1st, 2025, so it's very recent, and it was updated even recently with the integration of MCP, the Model Context Protocol. Okay, so you can read it, learn all about the integrations that they are offering, all about MCP connections, and you can see even demos that they're putting forward. And if you do not know the concept of MCP servers or Model Context Protocol, I will link the official page for the MCP protocol to the description so you can read through it if you want to. And this is something I've covered many times before in my videos. But the best way to explain Model Context Protocol, and this is the same way the official site actually explains it, is you can think of it as the USB-C of AI agents and tools. So fundamentally, it's a communication protocol where you can connect AI models or AI agents to servers of tools and data sources. And without any extra code, just leveraging that USB-C-like connection, basically the protocol itself, the agent can talk to the MCP server, understand what tools are there on that server, how to use these tools, and when. So just by having that connection, actually you can tap into third-party MCP servers that are readily developed for you by subscription or free. You can develop your own MCP server once, like we're gonna do today, and then connect it to so many agents, so you do not replicate the process of developing tools for each agent you create. You just create the server once, and then for each agent, link that agent to the MCP server, decide which tools you want the agent to have access to from the agent side, and then deploy that agent. So MCP made things so much easier when it comes to AI agents and building agents. And honestly, it feels like magic. So I will have this link in the description. I highly recommend you read it. At least read the introduction part of it. You will get what an MCP server is. If my analogy that I just introduced didn't help, so just read that for yourself. You will get it 100%. Okay, so now let me close this. We have a chat view here of Claude. So if you didn't use Claude, this is how it looks. It's basically like ChatGPT, Gemini, not so much different. You have a place where you can actually write your prompt and then interact with the model. You have options, so you can select things like web search. You can see there's more like a Gmail search, calendar search. These are integrations that have been there for a while, but now they added even more. So you can select something like this and get more integrations and capabilities into your Claude chat interface. Let me show you a quick example of connecting something standard, basically one of the services that are standard to Claude, like GitHub. So let me connect GitHub here. So I'll just hit connect, and GitHub is connected. So it pulled up my authentication information from my browser, so the cookies are there. So it automatically connected Claude to GitHub. So now I'm all sorted out when it comes to GitHub. I can just link to my repositories and interact with them through the chat. I will not do it for Gmail and calendar. I'm going to do it through a better way, and this is the integration. So here, if I click add integration, you simply get this. You get an integration name that you need to set, and URL. The URL is the important part. This URL is the MCP server URL. And this is what we're gonna do now. So let me start with Zapier. We'll create something on Zapier. Then we'll go to n8n, we'll create something there, and then we'll come back to Claude, connect both and test both. Now, if you go to Zapier MCPs, you're gonna hit this page, which explain everything about Zapier and MCPs. So again, Zapier, if you've been following me, is one of my favorite tools, if not the favorite tool, because on Zapier, you can build integrations, you can build agents with zero technical knowledge, and now you can build your own MCP servers, not servers with no technical knowledge whatsoever. And I will show you how simple it is that you can do it literally after watching this video. And by the way, if you have been following me and didn't subscribe, hit that subscribe button. And if you're new to the channel and enjoying the video so far, please consider hitting that subscribe button. So once you go to this page, which is zapier.com/MCP, and you are connected to your site, so basically you are logged in, you can hit get started. The amazing thing about Zapier, across integrations, across agents, across everything, whenever you interact with it, you get access to 30,000 plus tools that are already integrated with Zapier, with their actions and triggers and everything in between. Now, the amazing thing is that you authenticate your credential or your account once, and then across all the platforms on Zapier, like AI agents, automation, and now MCP servers, you can just use these tools based on your credential without re-authenticating and going through that headache, which is something you cannot say for every platform. Here it is smooth. The user has to worry about one thing, is building and nothing else. So let's add a server, and here you can see I can select a client. So if I click select a client, you see all the options. So you can connect the server you create on Zapier to Cursor, vibe coding basically, to Claude. So this is the Anthropic API, Claude Code. So everything when it comes to Claude. You can even connect it to OpenAI API and other. So actually let's make it for Claude. So let's make it specific. I think if you connect it to other as well, it will work. At the end of the day, we just need the URL. So let's hit create MCP server. So we have a server now. Now what we need to do is add tools. So we need to start adding tools to the server. And you can add as much tools as you want. So let's do email related and note-taking related tools here. Let's create two. Let me click the first one. We'll go to, for example, Outlook. Here's Outlook. And then you can see here I have a set of actions or tasks for a tool to build. So I want to create one that is basically send an email, and which is this one. So I'll click on it, and that's it. I have my first tool set on my MCP server on Zapier. Amazingly easy. Now, if you want to go into the settings and modify things, you can do that by clicking this again. And here you can see the account connected. This is my account. And from email, have AI generate the value for this field. To email again. So here you can either put things manually or just allow AI to decide the values. So here everything pretty much is decided by AI, which is fine for me. I'll hit save. Let's add something where we can add notes to Notion. So let's hit add tool. Let's search for Notion. We have Notion here. And as we scroll, we can choose here add content to page. Let's select that, and our second tool is created. Now let's modify this one because I want to select a specific page where Notion can add content to. So let's select the page here. So I hit set a specific value for this field. And because my Notion account is already authenticated on Zapier, I can simply choose a value. So I will select this. I get a drop down of all my pages. And then I select the page where AI will create content, which exact page on my Notion. And just a quick tip here. If you create a page on Notion, make sure that on the page, you select integrations and you integrate the page to Zapier so it will appear here. So you can see this is my page, which is test MCP and Claude. I will select it. So this will happen. The action will happen to this specific page. The content itself is decided by AI, and I'll hit save. So now I have a Zapier MCP server ready to go with two actions and tools on it. So now we have everything, but we need to connect it to Claude. So let's go to connect here. You can see this connect button. Let's go connect and you get this URL. Now be very careful with this URL because if you share it with anyone, they can have access to your MCP server on Zapier. And you can see here that there's a usage limit. We get 300 tasks per user. So you can see I've used none so far. So for now, I will copy this URL. Let's go back to Claude. Let's call this Zapier test. We put in the URL that we took from Zapier side and we hit add. And you can see it is already there. And if we hit connect, we get a page just to confirm accepting that connection. We hit allow and it should be connected now. Successfully connected to Zapier test server. So we are fully connected. Now if we go here and we want to go to the tools and settings, so you can see some of the tools that are available. Now interestingly, by default, the connection with the MCP server gave us two more tools, which is add tools. So I can actually add tools through Claude and then edit tools through Claude on the Zapier server side. And then we get the send email, which we added ourselves, and add content to page. Okay. So till this stage, any of you can develop this server with zero technical knowledge and then connect it to Claude. So now let's take it up a notch a little bit. I want to show you how you can do further things if you go towards something like n8n. So let's go to n8n. So I built this flow and this is a test flow. I only included two tools so far. This is beyond the scope of this episode. If you're not aware about n8n, there are millions of videos on YouTube, literally, that you can go and watch understanding how to install n8n up to how to build simple to complex flows. So everything is out there. Now, one of the most recent updates we got with n8n, which is amazing, is the ability to actually build our own server. Okay, so the way you do it is very simple. You go to the add button. So we want to add a trigger. Everything starts in n8n with a trigger. But here there's a unique trigger, which is the MCP trigger. So you can see this one, MCP server trigger. We click on it, you get this node, okay? And this is simply creates an MCP server on n8n just by doing that. So now I have these tools. These are HTTP requests, which are basically API calls that I develop to interact with Perplexity. So you can see here Perplexity normal internet search and Perplexity deep research. Now, this is from an old server I used to connect to things like Cursor to give these IDEs the access to the internet, which is now part of the system, but in the past it wasn't, and MCP gave me this ability. I was able to search the internet when many people couldn't on these IDEs. So just by connecting these tools, and there's many more tools on n8n, and you can scroll through them, tools to create records on Airtable, tools to recover information from vector stores, and also you can add tools custom made that you can create either through code or HTTP requests or API requests, basically as tools. So technically anything out there that has an API, you can make as a tool and give it to your own n8n built MCP server. Now, let's click on the trigger, and it's very simple. This is set as no authentication. You can actually add authentication to protect it, but we're gonna, for testing purposes, we're gonna just take the production URL and we're gonna hit save and we're gonna activate this. So the production URL is accessible. Again, be careful when you work with these URLs. If it's not authenticated, be very careful with the URL. I'm gonna disable this, actually delete this whole flow after the video, and I'm gonna delete the MCP server connection I created on Zapier. So be very careful with these connections. Let's go back to Claude and let's hit add integration again. So let's call this n8n test, and we'll paste the production URL of the n8n MCP server that we've created, which is super simple as you've seen. And now the connection is there and it's connected. So if we hit tools and settings, you can see we see our tools, the deep research and perplexity. So we can hit done. Now we're ready actually to go and chat and use all of these tools. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me actually use my connection to GitHub and select a repository. Okay, so what I've done is I selected a forked version of the OpenAI real-time console. It's very interesting. This is a repo by OpenAI where you can, just using an API key from OpenAI, run the actual real-time console based on their interface and interact with the real-time voice agent. So I selected some of the files here and I will just select add files. So automatically we get the GitHub files here in the context of this chat, and I will simply give it a prompt now to give me an output that will take action with. So imagine, and this is how this will change things. Imagine you're working with a friend or a colleague on building a website or building a service for a customer or something for yourself, and you want to start that development, and you want also to pick up ideas or concepts or options to include in that website or thing you're building. So here I'm gonna somehow simulate that interaction. I'm that person working with a friend on something, and now I have those integrations into Claude, so I don't have to hop from tool to another on my computer to do the same thing. So I'm just talking to Claude now. I'm asking it, can you please analyze files and break down how those can be used in a customer service site? So here I'm asking it, look at the OpenAI real-time forked repository that I have and tell me how can I use that to build something into a customer service website. So it could suggest for me to actually have a voice agent into that customer service website. So let's see what we get. And once we have the response, then we're going to start taking action. So, okay, it ran for a long time. I had to stop it because it went all wild to create a whole kind of website with the real-time integration of OpenAI into it based on my request, which is super powerful. Again, you can see what's the value of connecting to something like GitHub. It already was able to see the context of what OpenAI put out there as a repo that I forked into my GitHub account, and it understood everything. And if you look through the chat, basically it's telling me you can do voice support, multilingual support, accessibility, yada, 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 and started giving me front end and back end code that, okay, is beyond the scope of this episode. We want just to test the tool. So now we know that GitHub connection works. So what we're gonna do now is start with the n8n feature. So I will not ask it to use internet search, which already Claude has. I want to ask it to do deep research based on perplexity, and I'll show you the simple prompt I'm gonna have, and we're gonna get some results out of that. And this is the prompt. Can you perform deep research and explain in shortest way possible how OpenAI real-time API works? Now I don't want it to go for long, and to be very clear here, I didn't select the new research they added in Claude. So this should default to use the tool from the n8n server we've created. But let's hit go and let's watch what happens. It should go and default by, so okay, this is, yeah, see, it already selected the deep research in n8n on the server we created. So I will tell it always allow. So always you're allowed to use that tool on that server. And now it's running deep research from the MCP I created. So it's using other tools. So imagine the potential here. I can connect it to tens of tools, things that are beyond anything that you can find on a basic chat model like OpenAI or Claude. And you can make it 10 times more powerful. I can do literally everything here in one spot, especially if I'm developing. I can work with a team just by chatting with Claude. And that makes Claude as an AI really interesting because I can do much more with it than a typical chat interface, basically. And now we get all the details of how the OpenAI real-time API works. Now, let's actually do two things with this information. Let's send it to an email using the Zapier MCP server we created. And also, let's paste that content somehow to our test Notion page that we've created. So this is the prompt. Can you send this to info@givemethemic.official.com. So basically, I'm sending an email from the same address to the same address. Typically here, you can put any address. And can you place the same context explaining real-time API to my Notion page? So let's hit go. Now, it should use the two tools we created on Zapier and perform those actions that we can validate and check for ourselves. So you can see here, it's making the call to Zapier, running the send email. So allow always. So done. Now it's working on the Notion side. So the email was sent. We can check my inbox in a second. Again, I'm going to hit allow always. Okay, so it seems it got an error because the content is huge. So automatically the agent decided to do it in chunks. So let's see how it goes. So it's adding it in parts. It gave me now a confirmation. Perfect. I've successfully completed both tasks. So this is for sending the email and this is for the Notion page update. So it updated the page and a summary here. So let me go to my email and check it out. So it looks small, I know the text, but this is the email. You can see it's from info@givemethemic.official.com. Again, to the same email address, which is info. So I sent it to myself basically. And it's saying OpenAI real-time API technical overview. Again, this subject was selected by AI, and this is the body that it's selected by AI as well. And here, if I asked it to rewrite it for an email, it would have done so. I just asked it to copy the content into an email and send it to myself, and you can see the actual content in Markdown that came into the interface with Claude actually was put in here and sent through an email. So we know the email is there, it works. So let's go to Notion and check what happened on that page. And here I open Notion. So this is the page that we've selected. If you remember, we selected an exact page where the update is to happen, test MCP and Claude. And then here it added like a subject to the part. So this is the technical overview for real-time API. Again, the same subject that we got in the email, and then the content itself. You can see all the details here. And again, later on, if I ask it to add more stuff, it will add to the same page here. Now I'm going back to Zapier just to show you one quick thing. If you look here, we are at the connect page that we picked up the URL from to connect it to Claude. If you go to history, you can see the actual history of the actions or the tasks that were pushed through this MCP server. And if you remember, when we looked at the usage, my usage was 0 out of 300. Now it's 4 out of 300. And it is these tasks over here. So this is pretty much it. I think it is something not to be missed. If you work a lot with these chat interfaces, even if you're considering to start working with these AI chat interfaces, this is something you definitely need to know about and you definitely need to test out. Believe me, it's super powerful. This concept of MCP server, believe me, is still super early. It's in its inception phase, believe it or not, and it will become only bigger and bigger and more powerful. So it's the perfect time to jump in, test it out, and build and use it for yourself. And you might be much more creative than I am in thinking about ways of connecting certain integration or tools to Claude and how to use them. So if you are that person, please write me a comment in the comment section of what you're using these integrations with, if you're using them with Claude. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did so, do not forget to hit that like, subscribe button and share it with people who might benefit out of such content. And with this, thank you for watching and goodbye.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.